In this video, we are going to talk about how to negate a quantified statement. So first of all, what is a quantifier? So a universal quantifier states that an entire set of things share a characteristic. So you'll often see things like all or none. An example would be all birds can fly. So if you wanted to negate that, you wouldn't have to show that no birds can fly. If the statement is that all of them can fly, you would just have to show that one bird does not fly. And if you can show that one bird does not fly, then that means the statement all birds can fly is wrong. So to negate this universal quantifier, you just have to show one thing does not follow that rule. An existential quantifier states that a set contains at least one element. Words that are often used are at least one, or someone. Here's an example. One of these 6 cartons of milk is leaking. So the statement is that one is leaking. To prove the statement wrong, you would have to show that none of them is leaking, because they're saying at least one of them is leaking. They're not saying which one, they're just saying one of them is leaking. And you would have to go through and look at every single carton and show that none of them are leaking. So notice that a universal quantifier would negate an existential quantifier, and vice versa. An existential quantifier would negate a universal quantifier. So they're used to negate one another. So just a quick rule of thumb here, negating a quantified statement. So if you have the statement all A are B, this is like all birds can fly. The negation of that is at least one is not. So at least one bird cannot fly. At least one A is not B. The negation of no A or B is at least one is. If you're saying none of them are, I can say, yeah, there's at least one that is. The negation of at least one A is B is no A is B. And the negation of at least one A is not B is that all of them are. So again, remember the at least ones are negated by none or all. And the none or all are negated by at least one. So we've got 4 statements here. And before I move forward, these examples were taken from the Math and Society textbook by David Lippman. It's an open and free resource online, so if you would like more examples or a further explanation, please check out that resource. So we've got these 4 examples. All cars run on gasoline. So you can see that this is one of the all statements. So we're going to negate that with at least one. So if it's an affirmative, like all cars are, all cars do, then we're going to say at least one doesn't. So all cars run on gasoline. So we can say at least one car does not run on gasoline. So if you say all are, I say at least one is not. If you say none are, I say at least one is. So let's look for the other one that is all or none. So number 1 was all. Number 2 is someone. So that's not it. Number 2 is no student is in debt. That's the other one. So that's the other, let's go back up. That's the other universal quantifier. It's all of them or none of them. Existential is there's at least one. So the other universal quantifier is number 3. No student is in debt. So if you tell me none are, I'm going to say at least one is. So this would be at least one student is in debt. Okay, so number 2 and 4 then are the existential qualifiers, are quantifiers. I said qualifiers, I meant quantifiers. So we're going to negate those with universal quantifiers. So number 2, someone in the car needs to use the restroom. So that's at least one person needs to use the restroom. So I'm going to say no one needs to use the restroom. So no one in the car needs to use the restroom. So this statement was someone. That's the same as at least one. So someone in the car needs to use the restroom. And I'm saying no one in the car needs to use the restroom. So that's the negation. And then number 4 is the other existential quantifier. Someone is not going to the party. So if I'm saying at least one person is not, then the negation of that is all of them are. So this would be everyone. So someone is not going to the party. I'm going to say everyone is going to the party. So I think the most helpful thing are these statements right here at the top. Knowing how to negate, right? And looking for the right combination.